Today, we're diving into a really fascinating kind of AI. It's one that doesn't just give you answers from a knowledge base. No, this thing acts like your own personal data scientist, writing its own code on the fly to figure things out. And trust me, this is a huge step forward in how we all interact with data. I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you could forget about complicated spreadsheets or trying to remember how to write the perfect query? You just ask a question in plain English, and the data just talks back to you with the answer. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's happening right now. And this slide just perfectly captures the leap we're talking about. On the left, you've got the old way, a block of code that, might be a little intimidating if you're not a programmer. But on the right, a simple, everyday question. The AI we're talking about today is the magic translator between these two worlds. So, how does this all work? Well, let's meet the star of the show. We're going to call it our AI analyst, and we'll see how it takes our words and turns them into actual work. Okay, so this is what's called a code-generating agent. And the key phrase here is writes its own code. This AI isn't just picking a pre-made tool from a toolbox. It is literally creating a brand new tool, a custom piece of code specifically for your question. That's why the digital data scientist in a box analogy is just so spot on. Now, you're probably wondering, what's actually going on in its head? How does it figure this stuff out? Well, it's not just guessing. There's a very clear, structured process it follows, a simple but really powerful loop to get from A to B. And it all comes down to this, the react loop. It's as simple as it sounds. First, it reasons. It looks at the problem and thinks, okay, what's my plan of attack? Then it acts. It rolls up its sleeves, writes the code, and runs it. And finally, it observes. It looks at the result. Did it work? Did I get an error? And it just keeps repeating that cycle until the problem is solved.
So enough theory, right? Let's make this real. We're going to follow a single simple question on its journey from start to finish. We'll see exactly how this agent follows the clues to find the answer.
Here's the roadmap for our little query. It starts with a person asking something. The AI thinks, it writes code, the code gets run, the AI then looks at the raw computer output, and this is the really cool part, it synthesizes all of that into a normal human answer. Let's watch it happen. Okay, our quest begins. A user asks a totally normal business question. How many unique products are there? Easy enough for us to understand. But a computer needs to do some actual work to figure that out. And boom, the act step. The agent understands the goal is to count unique products, and it generates this perfect little line of Python code on the spot. I just want to emphasize again, it wrote this code right now, just for us. It didn't pull it from a library, it created it. The code runs, and this is what the AI gets back. Just the number 8. That's it. No sentence, no context. This is the machine's world. It's the raw, unfiltered truth of the calculation. And now for the final and maybe most important step. The agent observes that 8. It remembers the original question about unique products, and now its job is to be a translator, to turn that cold number back into a helpful sentence. And there you have it. The journey's complete. We went from a plain English question through this invisible world of reasoning and custom code and came out the other side with a perfectly clear, simple answer. It's pretty amazing. So we've seen what it does, but that just leads to the next question, right? How does it do it? What's the secret sauce that lets it write correct code for data it's never even seen before? Let's pull back the curtain. All right, the first secret is something called a schema prompt. Honestly, the easiest way to think about this is that we're giving the AI a cheat sheet before the test begins. So before the agent even sees your question, it gets a look at this. This is the schema, a map of your data. It says, hey, there's a column called product, another called sales price, and here's what kind of data is in them. Without this cheat sheet, the AI would just be guessing at column names. This is what makes it smart about your specific data. Okay, secret number 2 is the execution engine. Because look, the AI can write brilliant code all day long, but if there's no way to actually run that code and see what happens, it's totally useless. The engine is what presses the go button. In this specific example, the engine used a built-in Python function called exec, and this function is, well, it's incredibly powerful. It can take any string of text and just run it as live code. It's the bridge that turns the AI's idea into a real action. But, and this is a huge but, with great power comes great danger. A whole lot of it, actually. because letting an AI write and run code on its own is a massive double-edged sword, and this is where things get really serious. Because as amazing as this all sounds, this technology opens a Pandora's box of really significant risks. We have to talk about the peril just as much as we talk about the promise. And here are the big ones. First and foremost, security. What if the AI generates malicious code that deletes your files or steals private data? Then there's privacy. You're literally sending the structure of your database to a third-party API. And on top of that, you still have the classic AI problems, like hallucinations where it just invents things, or it simply writes code that's flat out wrong. This is, without a doubt, the single most important warning to take away from all this. You should never run an agent like this in a live, important system without what's called sandboxing. That means you have to build a secure, isolated container where the code can run without being able to do any real damage. This is not optional. It is absolutely critical. And that really gets to the heart of it. This technology is incredible. It democratizes data science. It gives everyone a powerful tool. But it's a very, very sharp tool. And with that kind of power comes an enormous amount of responsibility to use it safely. So that brings us to the final question we have to leave you with. An AI that can write and run its own code is a fundamental shift in what's possible. It opens up a universe of opportunity, but also a universe of risk. The tech is here. It works. The real question is, are we ready for it?